So let's call Kiyosaki here.
Getting Kiyosaki on the line.
Robert Kiyosaki. If you're watching this, guys, share this podcast with others so they can catch a moment here with Kiyosaki.
Where's your guess he is? Hawaii?
He's probably going to be in Arizona, which is very good because he'll give perspective on what's going on in Arizona.
Hello.
Is this Robert Kiyosaki?
It is.
How are you?
Good. Is this Patrick?
It is Patrick. How you doing?
Oh, man. I was just thinking about you when Christina, my assistant, said you wanted to do this interview. So timing is perfect.
Well, it's great to have you on. We got a few thousand people live right now with us.
4,500 to be
4,500 people that are live with us right now on the podcast. And, I know you always have some unique perspective on what's going on. And I think you're in Phoenix, Arizona. So your state matters a lot. So, Robert, what are your thoughts with what's going on right now with the election?
Well, Patrick, this was more than an election. This was a turning of America. And I've been watching your work and all this. You and I are saying the same things. So I think we're sliding into socialism. And as you know, because you have the book of Marx and Ayn Rand on your portrait behind you, we're going communist. And the reason I was thinking about you the other day is because I can feel your pain. I mean, you're not bad for an Army guy.
Is he a Navy guy? What is he?
He's a Marine. He's a Marine.
Yes.
Yeah, and my temper. Yeah, I was watching you with Brittany Kaiser and Richard Wolff, the socialist, and the guy is it Lucian Truscott?
Lucian Truscott.
Your boy.
Yeah.
And then I just want to repeat. I'm just going to give your audience back what you've been saying to everybody because I agree with it. You say Biden is not going to read your book for you. Biden is not going to teach you a new skill. But I'm afraid that you're going to need them because this election was more than an election. This is what I fought against. I went to Vietnam twice as a Marine, and I fought against what's happening in America. I fought against socialism and communism, and it's coming into this country. So I hate to be so pessimistic. On the other side, I agree with you. What are you going to do about it? So that's really my position. I mean, Arizona is horrible. You have no idea. There was this 501c3 came out of Oregon, and they changed our state constitution under the guise of, they said, we're going to give the money to the school teachers. They're not giving the money to the school teachers because my friend is the governor. He says this is BS. They basically changed the Constitution to raise the taxes on the rich. That's all it was. Nothing but do with school teachers. So my friend Patrick, this is socialism and communism. Everything you talk about, you left Iran and you come to America, and it's following us, I'm afraid. That's what I want to say.
You think, so the other part I want to ask somebody like you, I appreciate that. The other thing I want to ask somebody like you is, what do you think about all this talk where if it goes to the Supreme Court with voter fraud, Trump's still going to be the president, it's not going to be Biden? What do you think is going to happen? Are you looking at this as, look, Biden's going to be the president, people have to just realize he's the president, or there is a chance that potentially after what Giuliani and some of the other guys could get involved in, this could change?
It's possible, but it's an it's possible, but you know what? Let me tell you what I'm really, really upset about is Silicon Valley is Big Brother. If you know what I mean, they control the media. And I'm not saying because I hear it on the news, is I've been censored so many times. I've texted you. I said, how do you get away with saying what you say? How in the world are we censored again? Why are we censored? Donald Trump is my friend. His two sons and I are really good friends. When I mention them on my tweets, I get taken off. How can they censor me for talking? We had a radio show with Eric Trump where we're talking about how they're keeping their hotels filled now that COVID-19 emptied them, and it was nothing political, but Twitter just took it off. I just can't believe this, Patrick. That's communism. That's censorship. That's First Amendment. freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of religion is gone. That's what I'm upset about. This was more than an election, my friend. It's what you and I fought against. And it makes me sick to my guts. So I agree 100% about it. Is Biden's not going to read a book, what you say, and Biden's not going to teach you new skills. I see lots of opportunity coming, but you're not. But for those who do nothing, evil persists when good men do nothing, and evil will persist.
Hey, Robert, Tom Zenner here from Jet Set Magazine. Back in the day, I was the executive editor for Jet Set and all the great.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good to talk to you. My theory, Robert, is the hatred for Trump has just superseded any rational thinking. And I'm just curious your perspective about what happened, because there's smart people that have money, that want to keep their money, that are capitalists, that are pro-Biden and have to know what's down the pike with what's coming with him. How do you think this country got so stupid so fast?
Well, that's what I was talking to my friend here, Patrick. When I stepped off the plane at Norton Air Force Base in January 3rd, 1973, I got hit by rotten eggs and spit and all that stuff. And that was a turning of America. Socialists took over the education system. And then, Patrick, when you interviewed that guy, I forget his name now, but those two teachers and all this stuff, they're hardcore socialists.
Mm.
I know because my family are socialists. They're called school teachers. They think they believe in Robin Hood economics. Take from the rich and put it in your pocket. And that's why I'm saying I'm afraid Biden is not going to solve the problems. The problems are going to get worse because it starts in our education system. And, Patrick knows. I keep asking the same question. Why don't they teach us about money in school? But I found out it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake.
You're saying it's not a mistake that they don't teach money in school. You're saying it's not a mistake that they don't teach money in school. It's intentional.
Right.
No, I read this book by Dr. R. Buckminster Fuller. It was the Grunts of Giants. Grunt stands for Gross Universal Cash Ice. Is how the ultra rich steal our money. And so I read that in '83. Then I understood my rich dad. My rich dad was a man without any education, but he was a capitalist. My poor dad was a very good man, but he was a school teacher, head of education, PhD, Stanford University, all the pedigrees. He knew nothing about money. And so my poor dad and my rich dad grew up in Hawaii. They'd always argue. Do you know what I mean? One was head of the teachers union, the school system, and the government. And my rich dad was a hardcore capitalist. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. But they never saw eye to eye, and I think that's the problem. So, Patrick, how you handled Brittany Kaiser of Cambridge Analytics, I was surprised you didn't tear her head off. I said, man, you got more control than me, because as a Marine, I would just come after her. I remember what she said. She says, why do you hate Trump so much? She says, well, because I worked on his campaign. And then you asked her, so what about Hillary? She says, I don't know anything about Hillary. So she based all of her decisions based upon getting to look under the sheets at Trump, but she never saw the corruptions that Obama, Biden, and Clinton's. They're some of the biggest criminals going. They go into politics broke and they come out near billionaires. That should tell you something. Trump didn't have to steal because he already got his money. So I think that's the problem. It is exactly socialism. Capitalism going to socialism. And I went to military school also. In military schools, what we're taught is military economics. But what's taught, I went to my MBA. The MBA program is socialist economics. That's Keynesian and Malthusian economics. Mm-hmm. But the capitalist economics is Austrian, which is Mises and Ron Paul. And capitalist economics would not allow, capitalist economics, which is Mises or Austrian, is based upon St. Thomas of Aquinas. And it was legal, moral, and ethical economics. When you go to Keynesian and Malthusian, it's just print as much as you want and take care of people. And then the military economics, what we had to look at, I went to the school in New York, we had to look at the body counts. Who has killed the most people in history? Socialists. Hitler killed 18 million people, 6 million Jews. Stalin, 27 million. Mao Zedong, 46 million. The body count's only going to start now, you guys. That's what I'm concerned of. So I studied military economics, socialist economics, which is Keynesian and Malthusian, and then capitalist economics, which is Austrian school, which is why I like gold, silver, and Bitcoin.
Good segue to gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Robert, much respect. This is Adam Sosnick, leader of the Soy Boy Mafia here on the podcast. Question for you, because obviously you're really honing in on politics here. When I think of you, I think of economics. I think of financial literacy. I mean, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was in college. I'd like to hone in on financial questions, and I'll leave the political stuff to Pat and Tom. I've actually read recently or reread Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the cash flow quadrant. Speak to our audience a little bit these days. A couple questions on something that I say. I host Valuetainment Economics. One of the things that inspired me to even start what I talk about is they truly do not teach financial literacy in school. I went all throughout high school, college, got degrees, yada, yada, knew nothing, couldn't even spell 401k by the time I got my first job. So now I try to break down money in a language that everyone can understand. Here's my question to you. These days, you said that you're all about Bitcoin, gold, silver, commodities. And I know, I guess ultimately my question is, can you get wealthy these days without investing in real estate? I know real estate and being a tax advantage real estate is a major aspect of what you talk about. Forget about politics for a second, if you would, and talk just economics. What young people, our audience is basically 21 to 35 on average, a little bit older, a little bit younger. Talk to them. Where should they be looking? Where should they be looking to put their money? Where should they be investing? Give the lay of the land, specifically economically.
Well, I'm a hard advocate for financial education. So when I came back from Vietnam in '73, I started taking real estate investment courses. Because it's not about real estate. As you guys know, in '71, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. And I was flying in Vietnam at the time. And what that meant to me was that the dollar became debt and taxes. So the reason I invest in real estate is just last week I borrowed $28 million. It's not Trump money, but $28 million is tax-free debt. And with that, I acquire assets. And because I'm using debt to acquire real estate, I pay no taxes. So that's what my rich dad taught me to do. So there's more opportunity than ever before. But if all you have is an MBA, you can't see what I see. That's why Trump and I are good friends. They nail him for not paying taxes. Well, that's how stupid those reporters are. The reason he doesn't pay taxes, he doesn't have any income. You know, he turned in his presidential salary, so he only paid $750 in taxes. I don't pay any money in taxes because I use debt and I depreciate, appreciate, and amortize my real estate. That's the game.
So
Robert,
Robert,
it's not about real estate. It's about debt and taxes. I can borrow as much as I like, tax-free. You know, I asked these young people, I said, I just borrowed $27 million. How long would it take you to save $27 million? They don't have any idea. They can't because they're going to get taxed at 50%. They have to save $54 million to borrow $27 million. I mean, to get net 27.
Yeah.
So it's always debt and taxes, and that's what happened in '71 with Nixon taking the dollar off the gold standard. They don't teach kids that.
Regarding real estate,
so what these guys are saying is get out of debt, and save money. I mean, are you kidding me? Why would you save money when they're printing it and they're dropping interest rates to negative interest rates? You got to be crazy.
Robert, what would you tell?
You had some guys on your show that were pretty high up there from the Fed, and they were saying, you teach people to save money. I said, you guys are criminals. Why would you save money when they're printing it and the interest rates are going to go sub-zero? You got to be crazy.
Robert, follow-up question on the saving money component. 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 50% of Americans don't have $500 in their bank account. 40% of Americans literally do not have $1,000, period. Why do you think saving money is bad? And what would you tell those Americans who have no money? Would you tell them to invest in real estate with the money they don't have? How would you answer to those people?
I wouldn't invest in real estate unless you're willing to study. If you're not willing to study, get a 401k and die. That's all I can say to you. You're playing right into the hands of Wall Street. I don't have any stocks, and I don't save money because I don't need to.
But that's you, Robert. You're worth, what, $100 million, maybe more or less, depending on the day. I don't know your net worth. But speak to every American out there, or anyone for that matter, who has $1,000 in the bank, $5,000 in the bank. Believe me, if I had $10 million, $100 million, I'd be right there with you, buddy. But if I have $5,000 to my name, how could I possibly listen to you when you say, don't save money? This is my question to you, and I'm not being combative. I want my audience to understand.
I understand. I catch this all the time. And I'm saying you don't need money. That's the biggest thing about it. I just go to my banker and I borrow it. But I have to show the banker I know what I'm talking about. I have financial statements. I have track records.
Nice.
I have a track record. And Patrick said it best when he says, Biden's not going to read the book for you, and he's not going to teach you the skills. So if you don't have any financial education, get a 401k. I was going to say the effing 401k. I didn't touch one. But that's the best for most people. And then save money. But I wouldn't do that. And that's why, I've caught hell. Rich Dad Poor Dad has been out almost 25 years now. I'm still number one.
That's awesome. Love it.
But the academic elite, I got turned down by every book publisher in New York. They say, you don't know what you're talking about. Your house. I said, your house is not an asset. Savers are losers, and the rich don't work for money. And that was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I got hammered for that, but I won't stop. I don't need money. I can borrow it because money became debt in 1971 when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. And so that's Austrian economics versus socialist economics versus military economics. And that requires study. And if you're not willing to study, save money, go to school, become a doctor, and pay exorbitant taxes, and put your money in a 401k or an IRA.
Sure.
And you guys all know the pension plans are broke all over America.
Yep. Hey, Robert, as close as you...
That's why Biden cannot solve the problems. He cannot solve the problems.
Yep. Hey, Robert, as close as you are to Donald Trump, you've written books together. You guys are very tight. You know what's going on with him. Two things. Number one, how pissed off is he right now? How hard is he going to fight this and take it as far as he needs to, in your opinion? And if he doesn't win, would he come back in 2024, in your opinion?
That I really don't know. And we're good friends. His sons and I are better friends. And I'm just in mourning with them. That's all I'm at right now. I can't speak for him.
So they're not how about the sons? How about Don Jr.? Are they in pretty much a fighting mode right now?
Yeah, they're fighters. But let me just say, when Silicon Valley can censor the world as Big Brother, we have bigger problems than Trump. When I get my tweets taken down, my company is censored by Silicon Valley. But Bezos, his Washington Post, they called me a racist. I got accused of being a racist. I'm going, are you kidding me? And then they basically shut down the Rich Dad website. That was Facebook. What is going on with this country? We got bigger problems than Trump. So that's why I started this whole thing. It was more than an election. We're shifting from capitalism to socialism to Karl Marx, the Communist Manifesto that sits on Patrick's desk in his painting. And this is the real question. I thought, Patrick, that was fantastic. Ayn Rand, the question is, where am I going to hide? My money went into hiding a long time ago.
Why did you say did you say the Trump boys are in mourning? No. They're angry. I mean, I talked to them about 2 weeks ago, just as we're going. Well, you said those words. I didn't know if I misheard you.
Yeah, no, I'm in mourning too. I'm in mourning for America.
So do you think that Trump does not have any, you don't think he's going to be able to turn the ship around and win any of these court battles? Like, what do you mean by mourning?
Let me just say it again. When Zuckerberg runs America through fake media and social media, we have bigger problems than Trump. We are now a totalitarian state. We're a big brother, Orwell. That's what I'm saying. We have such big problems right now. So every time Patrick talked about running away from Iran and going to Germany and coming to America, well, the problem is those hippies that spit on me back in 1973, they're now school teachers or labor union people.
Wow.
Or they teaching those kids who go into Silicon Valley who believe in equality. You know, I'm all for equality, but don't take my money. And so the problem is our educational system. And so when Zuckerberg, I mean, our Rich Dad, we don't say much. I don't dare say much. I mean, I text Patrick every time I go, Patrick, how'd you get away with that one? but I'm trying to say something, you guys. The First Amendment was taken away from us by Silicon Valley, by Zuckerberg, Bezos, and those guys. That's the problem. That's a bigger problem than Trump trying to fight again. He got crushed by social media.
Mm-hmm. How do we turn this around, Robert? How do we steer this ship in the right direction?
Ayn Rand. You said it on your program. As I went into hiding. The producers go into hiding. 1957, she wrote the classic Atlas Shrugged. The producers go into hiding. So I'm in hiding in plain sight. So I look like everybody else. But I'm not going to pay the taxes legally. I'm not going to keep my money in this country legally. I don't save dollars legally. I use gold, silver, and Bitcoin as retainers of wealth. I refuse to let the Fed and the Treasury steal my wealth.
Robert, where do you see Bitcoin in the next 5 years?
I don't really know because I was late to the party. You know, I started buying it at 9,200. I think today is at 15.
You weren't that late if you bought it in at 9,200.
Well, I tried to buy it at 20, but somehow my wife talked me out of it, which was good.
When did you buy it at 9,200?
About 4 or 5, a while ago. I mean, I'm buying more.
Okay.
But this is what I'm saying to you guys. I don't really know Bitcoin that well, but I know this: as the price of Bitcoin goes up, the supply goes down. Whereas with the U.S. dollar, as the value of the dollar goes down, the supply goes up. So that's why I'll mention it was Daniel D. Martino Booth said, you should teach kids to save money. I said, are you nuts? Can't you see what's happening?
Robert,
can't you see it? That's what I'm saying. Can't you see what's happening?
Did you say you don't own any stock at all in the stock market whatsoever?
I own gold mining shares.
But that's your only form of equities?
Yeah, I don't need stocks, and I have a lot of real estate. I'm probably a billionaire in debt. I practice what I preach.
Gotcha. And do you think average...
I borrow to buy real estate, and I don't buy commercial. I buy apartment houses, residential. And then because I do that, the government gives me tax breaks, and so I pay no taxes. That's the game. That's what I was teaching at Rich Dad Poor Dad. Gotcha. The power of corporations.
Robert, question for you. With current times on what's going on, for me, I'm always watching to see who's got the most influence right now. Under a Biden administration, who become the most powerful people in America? If you were to say, here's 5 names to watch very closely that could influence censorship, et cetera, whatever it may be, who would those 5 names be that you're watching very closely with a Biden administration?
Zuckerberg, Schmidt. The new president, is Kamala Harris. And you, Patrick, you mention them all the time. They work out of Silicon Valley. I hate to say that, but that's Big Brother. That was Orwell, I think. Orwell or Huxley. So you look at George Floyd. It was a tragic death, but what Aldous Huxley said was that we would have designer drugs. So when when George Floyd went down, he had COVID and he had Oxycontin or something in his system. So we're drugged out. Portland, Oregon just dropped holding hard drugs to a traffic fine, $100. So we're becoming this drugged out society. So the I'm just giving Patrick's words back to him. It's Karl Marx, Ayn Rand, Aldous Huxley, Orwell, and this guy Bucky Fuller. You could see this stuff coming. It's here, and that's why I said this election was more than an election. It was a turning of America from capitalism to socialism, and socialism always leads to totalitarianism. So I went to military school in New York, and we measured economics in body counts. So let me say it again. This is history. Hitler murdered 18 million people, 6 million Jews. Stalin was 27 million, and they estimate that Mao killed 46 million. And that's what's coming. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but if you look at history, that's what we should learn from history. But we don't teach that economics in schools. We teach socialist economics, Keynesian, Malthusian, versus Austrian school, Mises and Ron Paul. And it's in our school system. That's all I'm saying. And that's why there's no financial education in schools. Who pays the highest taxes are doctors and lawyers. Guys like Trump and I don't pay taxes because we're real estate guys. We use debt and we don't pay taxes, and that's the game. That's what I wrote about in Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Robert, you typically make some kind of market predictions. I'll make this the last question. We'll let you go back to your business, to what you were doing, and hopefully we'll have you back on other podcasts in the future. Is any prediction you're going to make to the market the next 6, 12, 24, 48 months?
Yeah. You watch this, this Green New Deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to become the hottest properties you can buy. Because what's going to happen is these socialists are going to get in there. They're going to push for solar and all that stuff. And unfortunately, the poor people, the people who are hardcore socialists, will not participate. But already, I'm investing in green energy because it's going to be the biggest thing because they're going to push taxpayer dollars into it.
Any specific names or companies or funds that you're looking at?
Well, there's this guy out of Vancouver, is a friend of mine, like you, Patrick. His name's Marin Katusa, Marinkatusa. He's probably the brightest guy. He's a calculus teacher who saw the lights of capitalism. Mm-hmm. But he's figured it out.
Nice.
So he and I invest together and things like this. But I've always been a greenie. It just wasn't any money in it. Now there's a lot of money coming into it, but it's coming from taxpayer dollars. So
Robert, speaking of green energy, what about literal green energy, cannabis stocks? Is that something you look at all?
No, I'm a Marine, man. I don't do drugs. I really don't. I
didn't ask if you did green. I asked about green marijuana cannabis stocks that seem to be skyrocketing these days.
No. I have my morals.
You would not touch that morally.
No, I don't cheat on my wife. I'm not a Democrat.
That's good.
Pass on grass.
Only Democrats cheat on their wives? Is that what you said?
I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. It's just like
I know. Look at Donald Trump. He's never cheated on his wife. He's doing great.
If you haven't already figured out, our buddy Adam here cannot stand President Trump. I think you already figured that out. Yeah.
But I like you, Robert. Is it possible to vote for Biden and still believe in capitalism?
No.
Tom, I asked an expert.
Oh, sorry.
But it's really Kamala Harris. She's the president. He's just a dead man walking.
So she's running the country.
Oh my gosh.
She is going to,
See, Trump swore one time.
I mean, we all know the battle is coming down into the Senate.
Yeah.
That's where the battle's going to be.
$200 million bucks.
Yeah. I wish, if a perfect world, I wish Trump had won. But
he still has got a shot, though, Robert.
The problems are so big, Biden cannot solve them. So the problems are not going to go away. The problems are going to get bigger. So that's why Patrick, Ayn Rand's book, Atlas Shrugged, should be the Bible right now, because the other book is Marx's Communist Manifesto. You said all in your program. I'm just giving your words back to you.
Well, no, I appreciate that. It's good it's coming from you. Well, Robert, thank you so much.
That's why I said the other day, I was saying I was really depressed. I said, I wonder what Patrick is saying. And then Christina said, hey, Patrick wants you on his program. I said, oh, there must be a God someplace.
Let me ask you, are you in Hawaii or are you staying in Phoenix right now?
No, I'm back. I'm out in South Carolina.
Okay, got it.
And let me tell you why. Because Ayn Rand said the capitalists or producers go into hiding. I'm hiding on a private island with other producers.
Hiding.
If it's the island I think you're on a good island.
Well, it's mostly Marines living out here. I mean generals, 4 stars and stuff like that.
Robert, last question, if you don't mind. What should our listeners who own stock, just average people, maybe they own 50,000, 100,000, maybe that's their net worth in stocks. What should they do with their stock?
I really don't. I don't give financial advice. I'm just trying to say something. I just got started in Bitcoin, and I have lots of gold and silver. I don't store it inside the country. Let me just tell you that much. So what you do is up to you. You can make, and Buffett makes money in stocks, and some guys make money in stocks. I just don't like stocks because they're manipulated.
Fair enough.
Does that make sense to you? I want to control my destiny. Patrick, you said it. Biden is not going to read the book for you, and Biden is not going to teach you the skills.
That is true. Neither one of these guys are. You gotta pick it up and go do it yourself. It's just going to be interesting what happens the next 4 years. That's the biggest thing. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens the next 4 years. Robert, thank you so much for being a guest today. We will definitely invite you back on. If you're open to, we'd love to have you back on again on the podcast.
You keep up. Hey, man, you have for an Army guy, you got a lot of guts, man.
These Marines are going in on
much
you.
love to you, Robert. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.